Alright, today we are doing Pythagorean theorem, and the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so in any triangle, any right triangle, you have two legs. The legs are the two sides that touch the right angle. And then across from the right angle you have what's called the hypotenuse, and it's always the longest side. Okay, so in any right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the two legs is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. And then this is the formula that we just talked about, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So in this first figure, I always draw an arrow across the right angle because then that is your hypotenuse. That's always the longest side. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So and the legs don't matter which one's a and which one's b, so you can mix them up. It doesn't make a difference. Okay, so now we have to square these. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 5 times 5 is 25, equals c squared. You add those two together. 16 plus 25 is 41. 41 equals c squared. But we don't want c squared, we just want c. So to undo squaring something, you take the square root, and you're welcome to do that on your calculator. The square root of 41 is 6.4 if we round it to one decimal place. So you get 6.4 units equals c. Okay, now for this one, they just graphed it on the on a coordinate grid, and if you look over here, you have 9 units by 12 units, and I'm going to write those in because it's hard to see. Okay, we're still missing the hypotenuse, so again, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Doesn't matter which is which, so 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. We square those and get 81 plus 144 equals c squared. Alright, 81 plus 144 is 225. And since we don't want c squared, we want c, we take the square root of that, so c equals 15 units, because the square root of 225 is 15. Okay, now sometimes the hypotenuse is not missing. So on this one, we're missing one of the legs. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 7 squared plus b squared equals 25 squared. We square these. 7 times 7 is 49, plus b squared equals 25 times 25 is 625. Now, we need to get b alone, so we need to get rid of positive 49, so we subtract 49 from both sides. So b squared equals 625 minus 49 is 576. Now we don't want b squared, we want b, so we take the square root, and the square root of 576 is 24 units. Alright, now over here, same thing, the height is the same as one of the legs of our triangle. There's our hypotenuse, so we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the height of the triangle, and then use that to find the area. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're missing a. B is the leg here, which is 4, and the hypotenuse is 6. So 4 squared, so we get a squared plus 16 equals 36. Okay, again, we need to get a alone. So to get rid of a plus 16, we subtract 16 from both sides. So you're going to get a squared equals 20. And to find the square root, a equals 4.5. Okay, now that we have 4.5, we need to figure out the area. Okay, so 4.5 is this right here. That's our height. Our height is 4.5, and our base is 4 plus 4, which is 8. So area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So your base is 8, your height is 4.5, and then you need to divide that by 2, and you get 18 units squared. Now, the converse of the Pythagorean theorem states that any three positive numbers that make the equation a squared plus b squared equals c squared. True are side lengths of a right triangle. Not every side length can make up a right triangle. You have to use this formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If the side lengths are whole numbers, they are called Pythagorean triples. So we have to determine if that's true. Now, the longest side is always equal to the hypotenuse. So, and the hypotenuse is always c. Okay, so this is c. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. So we have to square all these. You're going to get 9 plus 16 equals 25. And that is true. 9 plus 16 does equal 25. So this is a Pythagorean triple. Yes. Okay, so this is your hypotenuse, the 16. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 9 squared plus 13 squared equals 16 squared. I'm going to turn it off and let you try it on your own, and then I'll go over it with you. Okay, so 81 plus 169 is 250. That does not equal 256. So these are not 3 measured angles or 3 side lengths of a Pythagorean right triangle. It's not a Pythagorean triple, so your answer would be no. So have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.